Good morning. How's it going? Oh, I gotta fix my mic. I forgot to switch it over. There we go. Now you should hear me better. Hello. Good morning. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday to you guys. Hope you all slept well. Having my morning butcher. Good morning, Andrea. You're quick today. How are you, honey? Nice to see you. Good morning, Michelle. How are you? Been hearing wonderful things about your organite, Michelle. I just said the O word. Oops, that's what a great start to the day. I don't even care. My brain is just like, fuck it. I'm in fuck it mode today. Welcome. Welcome. Good morning, honey. Hi, Lori. Hi, Danielle. How's it going, guys? Good morning. Hi, Sabrina. Nice one, Andrea. So guess what I get to do today? I get to go hang out with Tara. Yay! So I'm going to do after my podcast. Tara's invited Aiden and I over for a hangout today. So I get to drive over to Tara. She lives about 45 minutes from here. Ironically, right around the corner from where I used to live. So she's like, you ever heard of Colonel Denning Park? And I was like, yeah. What are the odds that Tara and I lived within like 2-3 miles of each other for 3 years? And I didn't even. Oh, so funny. Good morning. Hi, Candy, honey. How are you? Nice to see you. Hang on, fuck it mode is just for one day. Well, depends on the day, Milicio. Good morning, Anthony. You know what's funny, Michelle? I knew we were going to talk about that today. I had a feeling y'all were going to harp on me. I have my zeolite right here. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah, I've been getting repeated messages that I have a dire need for a heavy metal detox. So it's funny, these things. When I went to Disclosure Fest, I don't know what machine it was, but I basically held on to 2 copper rods. I don't know what the hell machine. Was it a Rife machine? I always get these machines confused. But Sue Whitaker, this lady who's an absolute genius, she has like this machine. You hold on to the 2 copper thingies on the side. It's like a $17,000 contraption she's got. But it sends a frequency signal throughout your body and it picks up all the stuff that's wrong and then it puts it into the machine. Well, the funny thing is, I remember telling you guys about me doing a parasite cleanse, and I still have all my stuff here. I have all my goodies here sitting here. I did a parasite cleanse, and she did the test, right? It was the only thing I didn't have. So they do it on a scale of 1 to 10. So my parasites were like a 1. So I had like no internal gut parasites. So that shit works, let me tell you. But my candida and my heavy metal were a 10. They were both a 10. So I was like, oh shit. This has got to be accurate. So because I had mercury fillings removed. I had like 4 of them that I had in there for like 18 years, maybe longer, maybe even 25 years, something like that. And yeah, all that mercury is now in circulation. So can you say what stuff is again? You mean the parasite cleanse? I got this from Etsy. It's called Sonnengarten. So Sonnengarten Organics. It's called a parasite worm cleanse, but it actually does all parasites. It covers everything. And like I said, it really worked because when Sue checked my body for parasites, I had like none. But like I said, when it came to heavy metals and candida, it's a whole nother story. It was a 10. And I haven't really done anything about it since I got back. So yeah, now I've had 3 soul guide messages in the last 2 weeks telling me to get on it. That's why when Louise was saying that the other day, I was like, because oh yeah, the soul guides are harping on me about it. They have been. I've gotten repeated messages that I need to focus on my health. It's just a pain in the ass. I'm not a fan of having to take 20 things. So, like I said, I got the zeolite that 15 people told me to get. In fact, I got multiple zeolites because it came in a package. See, I got multiple ones. And then, what was the other thing I got? Oh, I'm trying to think. I got some. What was the other thing that my friend suggested for? I can't remember. Is it CBD? Anyway, my friend gave me a little tincture thingy for heavy metals. Medical Medium. That's what I need to check out. I've heard of him. I haven't really watched anything from Medical Medium, but I will check it out, I swear. Everything's expensive these days. Somebody asked, is it expensive? Everything's expensive. But this bottle I got for the Parasite Cleanse was only $20. So, and it came, I'm pretty sure, all the way from New Zealand or somewhere, Australia maybe. But it worked really well. Like I said, I was looking up all the things that you would take for a Parasite Cleanse because I wanted to make sure that I was actually getting a good one. And they have everything that they listed for being good against parasites is in this damn bottle, which is why it tastes so disgusting. It's awful stuff. Tastes like ayahuasca, but worse. Oh, thank you, Mihaela. Love you. I'm wearing your present you got me. Miss you. I'm gonna get on it, I swear. It's one of those things. It's not easy. It really isn't easy to put your body first, when you're dealing with shit and you've got so much going on and you're trying to be busy and your body has all these little tiny needs, I'm taking a lot of mushrooms at the moment. Take a lot of turkey tail, all that stuff. So anyway, it's one of those things I'm working on. I'm getting there. I had to have some horrible medical stuff happen to me for me. Yeah. Yep. I'm one of those too. I'm definitely one of those too. Let's talk about Gosha. Yes, I'm down for that. I still can't believe she messaged me last night. I was in shock. It was 3 a.m. her time. I was like, I asked her, I was like, can I ask why you messaged me at 3 a.m? And she's like, oh, I just don't sleep well. She's like, oh, I'm just up. She likes to work at night. So yeah, that's why Gosha messaged me at 3 a.m. her time and was like, hey, what are you doing? You want to chat? I added her as a friend like at least 7-8 months ago. Before I even started this page, I added Gosha. And as you guys know, I was mildly crazy about her videos for a while there. I have kind of toned it down, I'm not gonna lie. They started getting a little preachy in some of their videos. That video about psychedelics pissed me off a little. But they get a little preachy sometimes, and I started developing the attitude, well, we'll talk about it when you get down here, was kind of my attitude. But I'm getting over it. Do you have any white pines near you? Pine needle tea is amazing. Thank you for that tip, Judy. I will look for some today, actually. That's wonderful. So yeah, Gosha, she is coming on for a podcast in 2 weeks or so. So I'm very excited to be able to talk with her. And to be honest, I am a little rusty. I need to go back and watch some of her older videos to learn how she was even contacted in the first place. There's a lot of questions that I'm curious about as to, I don't even know how she got her start. So I guess that's one of the questions I could ask her is how she all of a sudden got contacted by the Pleiadians and got, I'm just reading through the comments. You might want to also look into Nutrimedics Burworth. Thank you, Lisa. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate that. I'm going to take all these notes down before I leave for Tara's house today. Geez, there's 64 of you on right now. Holy cow. Okay. Just listening to me chat shit this morning. Hello. Welcome. So yeah, the whole, like I said, the whole Gosha thing is quite of a shock. I was not expecting to hear from her. So, was it Dale Harder? It must have been. Now starting to come back to me. Now I remember. Thank you, Andrea. You're right. I think that was Dale that she was talking about. Yeah, she is. She's in a pod. So that's why I was curious as to how they contacted her. Like, oh, by the way, you're in a pod. I'm like, what? Yeah, Gosha is actually up on the ship. She's in a, I don't know if it's an NPC body or how that works. It might be an NPC body. I don't know. I think so. I think she's a Tegetten walk-in. Yeah, Dale Harder's awesome. I love Dale. He's amazing. Have you guys seen Dale Harder's videos? He's a freaking genius. Yep. Oh, I love you too, Pamela. Yeah, she's been in contact with them for 6 years now. So, it's like it's almost impossible to catch up to all her videos. She's made thousands. See, that's interesting. She gets introduced to a lady at a party who's connected her to the Tegettans, even though she's on a Tegettan ship. So that was clearly a serendipitous meeting. They're setting that up. I knew she was legit when I read a buttload of transcripts. Honestly, if it wasn't for my astral projection, if they hadn't pulled me out of body 11 years ago, I would never have believed any of this stuff. I was way too skeptical for my own good. I really was. I didn't believe in any of that shit. David Icke came around and I was like, he's smoking something. That's what I thought when David Icke came out. Like, nope, I don't believe a word of it. They literally had to show me a reptilian for me to believe that reptilians are real. That's how stubborn us humans are. Good morning, Patrick. Nice to see you, bud. Hi, Catherine. I was not to tell you I heard the names flutter during my CE5 experience. Really? Interesting. Very cool. So Gosha is a person on Earth, higher self, in ship. Gosha is in what we call an immersion pod. It's a long story, but immersion pods are kind of like a loophole for starseeds, especially if you're one of the elderly races. I call them elderly races, but they're the older races, the ones that are highly advanced, like the Arcturians. They're definitely one of the elderly races. The Arcturians, they live like 10,000 years. So they don't want to just, they don't want to die in order to inhabit a body here on Earth. So what they do is they step in one of those avatar-like pods. Those pods in Avatar are a real thing where you get into a pod and then it reroutes your consciousness from a human body to one of those big blue avatar bodies. Well, it's like that, only in reverse. It's exactly the same as in reverse. It's, they're sending their signal from the ship down to an NPC body that, has been attuned to your frequency. So they will abduct an NPC and then they will change its frequency and make the frequency compatible for a person that's in the pod. And they can tell the difference between an NPC and a normal human because, like I've said before, the normal humans, they have a full body auric field where the NPCs only have an auric field over their head. They have something called a soul spectrometer that they use in order to be able to pick up auric fields and stuff. She's on my friends list, on my personal friends list. I messaged her about a year ago and thanked her for her videos and told her that blah blah blah. Told her about my astral projection, I think, if I remember correctly. And then I messaged her about 3 months ago. Whenever I started my podcast, she was one of the first people that I asked. And I only asked her because one of you told me to. That's the funny thing. I forget who it was. But one of you messaged me and was like, hey, you need to invite Gosha. And I remember my response too. I was like, I'm a little fishy. She's not going to want to come on my podcast. I'm just a little fishy. And then and she messaged me out of the blue 4 months later and was like, hey, I'll come on your podcast. I was like, she's like, if the offer's still open, I'm like, yeah. Are you kidding? Hell yeah. So thank you to whoever pushed me into inviting her like 4 months ago, because that seed took a while, but it was certainly sprouted. Honestly, I believe that most star seeds are in immersion pods. It entirely depends on how it goes. Because honestly, like I said, if you're one of those races that have been here a long time, there's a lot of star seeds that have been here for over 13,000 years. Remember that. That everybody on this planet is basically a starseed. It's everybody. Nobody is really indigenous to this planet. We've all been brought here. All of our souls have come from elsewhere. It's just that many of the souls, once they got here, they got stuck in the karmic loop of bullshit that exists on this planet and sucked into all the Federation drama and all the shit that's been going on here for so long. So it's kind of like so many people, even though they're star seeds, they kind of lost the mission. They got distracted. They're doing side quests. So we had to pull in some new souls that don't take on all those side quests as much, and they're here to do the main mission, which is raising the frequency of the planet. Ready to balance this shit out. Exactly, Nicole. We are. We're here to balance some shit. But as I was saying, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. Many of the star seeds who are in these pods are because their actual bodies, their ET bodies, can live for thousands of years. Nobody's going to want to die just to inhabit a planet, a body here on Earth. So whenever they want to go down and experience a human life, they can just reroute their consciousness from their alien body to their earthling body. And then they're stuck here until they die. But then they wake up in a pod rather than waking up. I should say, not even waking up, rather than just being next to themselves. Because whenever you die, you literally just find yourself looking at your dead body, really. But I guess in this case of the star seeds, we're just going to wake up in a pod. I don't know. That's a very comforting thought for some people. But I have a feeling, I don't know why. I just feel like I'm not in one. I feel like I should know if I was. There's been a lot of, if you guys know the history of this planet, there has been a lot of wars here. There's been a lot of people that have died here that came here from other planets and then they haven't left. There was a lady who I forget which book it was, whether it was Terry's book or Dr. William Baldwin's book, but there was a woman who had 20 dead aliens attached to her. 20! And of course, she was in a mental institution at the time because, 20 dead aliens is going to fuck anybody up. So she, sure enough, they did a clearing on her and there were 20 aliens. And they asked you, like, what are you guys doing here? And they said, well, we're not crossing over here. You crazy? They said, we're going to wait for our people. We're not crossing over. We don't want to get stuck in the reincarnation cycle here on Earth. We don't want to be stuck in your matrix. So they waited for like 3,000 years. They all died. They all drowned in a ship. And when their ship, when they crashed into the ocean or something, and everybody drowned in there. And they realized that if they were to enter the light, that they would be stuck in this reincarnation cycle on Earth. So they knew not to enter the light because they didn't want to reincarnate as an Earthling. So they would rather sit in the ether for 2,000 years until I don't know if it was Terry. I can't remember. I can't remember which one it was, but I'm pretty sure it was William Baldwin, actually. I'm pretty sure I was reading it in his book. But then they had to open a portal and send him home. Where they quite literally opened a portal and was like, okay, y'all can go back to your home planet now. And they refused to leave until they had a portal back to their home planet. And it was cool. They actually had one of their people open the doorway. So it was a portal to another planet that somebody from the other side opened so that their souls could cross over. Crazy stuff. I don't know. That's the thing, if these ETs, they know all about life on Earth, maybe they don't want to. They'd rather wait. They're like, nope, I want to go home. So that's how a lot of ETs feel, that they'd rather wait in the ether than end up reincarnating as an Earth human. They're like, nope, fuck that. But they were attaching to people. All 20 of them were kind of rolling around in this big ball of earthboundness. I'm not blaming anybody. I just think for that long, I would have reincarnated too, personally. I would have been like, all right, screw it. I'm just going to take a new body. I don't even care. But sometimes the ETs are just like, No, I refuse to be a human. They're like, no, I will never be a human. So they would rather wait until they go home. So there's a lot of souls. My point was is that there's a lot of star seeds that are here that aren't even kind of here by choice. And I kind of feel like I'm one of those. I have a feeling I died in the Tiamat Wars and I've been here stuck ever since. That would be nice. I have to check my Akashic records to find out. I skirted responsibility and jumped in this body. I don't think you skirted any responsibility now that you're in a body. Do we look similar each time we reincarnate? You know what's funny? There was somebody that asked kind of a rude question to Sfadu once, and they're like, "Why do all the Pleiadians look like Victoria's Secret models or something?" And Sfadu, she's very polite to a degree with her reply. She basically was like, "Well, our DNA is fully activated, so we have access to any DNA that any appearance that they would desire based within that spectrum of their DNA. Our DNA is full of holes. There's a whole lot of shit." She said that basically makes us like caricatures of what we would normally look like. So we have like this appearance that we would prefer to have, but whether or not we were able to achieve that appearance is an entirely different story, if you catch my drift. So you get to choose a limited basis on what your parents' genetic makeup is. So yeah, she basically explained that. She quite literally said, "This is why so many Earth humans are ugly." It's because we have this caricature thing going on because our DNA is all kinds of messed up. We really do. We shouldn't even have arches in our feet, for the record. Just the fact that we have arches in our feet was a fuck up on their part. We were very poorly designed, just for the record. But we're like a hodgepodge. It reminds me kind of like dogs and how dogs got fucked up big time because humans were like, I'm going to mix this and this and this and this and this. And they all just wanted it for appearances or for whatever. And then all of a sudden certain traits get mixed up and you're like, oh, now they can't breathe anymore. It's kind of like that. We're mutts. This is the best way to put it, really. So there's nothing wrong with mutts. In fact, some mutts are absolutely gorgeous. Some of the most beautiful dogs you ever meet are mutts, just for the record. So I'm not saying anything against mutts, just for the record. But we're the best. In my opinion, I kind of love Earthlings. For some reason in the last year or so, I've actually developed more of an appreciation for us than I had before. Because if you think about it, dogs don't exist on other planets. It's a great way of putting it. Dogs don't exist. Canines exist on other planets. There are wild canines like wolves and foxes on other planets, but we made dogs. Dogs is something that humans made. We took a whole bunch of creatures, made friends with them, and made them fornicate. And next thing you know, we've got all these dogs that they did not exist on any other planets. In fact, this is one of the things that they keep in here. They don't let dogs leave the planet, which I find kind of funny. But they're like, nope, you keep here franken animals over here. So, for example, Gosha was quite upset, and she found out, she's like, if I go home to Tegeta, can I bring my dog Bongo? And they're like, no, dogs aren't allowed on this planet. And she's like, what? So Gosha, I mean, if you love dogs, sorry, you're going to have to be stuck here on Earth because that's the only place you can find dogs. They won't let them leave the planet because, like I said, they're not supposed to technically exist. We made them. Our flaws are endearing. Yes, they are, Steph. Cats do exist on other planets, for the record. Cats, as they are here on Earth, exist on all other planets. They're all over the freaking place. Cats, because keep in mind that they are one of the companions of many ETs. So cats, for some reason, have been brought all over the freaking place. They have a lot of birds too in Tegeta. They were talking about the pets that they have in Tegeta. They like cats, ferrets, and birds, basically. They also have this it's almost like Quetzalcoatl. It's like a reptile mixed with a bird, and they wear it kind of like a. It's like a. I don't know. It's like a snake bird thing that they have as pets in Tegeta, which is kind of cool. Actually, I wouldn't mind having a snake bird thing. But that's one of the reasons they asked about why they wouldn't bring dogs back to Era, which is like one of the home planets of the Tegetans, and that's why is because the animals there, they have no knowledge of dogs, they have no experience with dogs, and dogs would just, if they really wanted to, they could really mess up the place. So that's their reason for keeping dogs in the quarantine with us. We're safe. The dogs have the same rep we do. They aren't allowed to leave, and neither are we. Cats are very independent. One of the reasons why they're actually such great companions for people on ships too, because there's tons of cats up on the Teleka, the ship that the Tegetans are on. Gosha was talking about they all have cats. They all have a pet cat, and the cats can kind of free roam of the ship. They can do whatever they want, which is kind of cool. Your cat just gets free roam of the of the whole spaceship. I'm staying with the dogs, Elaine says. Yes, exactly. So many people have said that. Well, if dogs don't exist on other planets, I'm not leaving. Wolves do exist, for the record. In fact, I actually found out that there's, you know how we talk about the Irma and how there is a cat race? It's basically a highly, highly advanced race of cats. Well, we also have, there's actually apparently a dog race too, but not dog, more like a canine race. The Anubis kind of race apparently is also a thing. Hi, Kale. Nice to see you, bud. But yeah, isn't that cool? I thought that was awesome that there is like an Anubis race. Cosmic wolves. Yep, those are a thing. God, I didn't even want to believe in reptilians 10 years ago. Now I'm talking about cosmic dogs, or cosmic wolves, I should say. Werewolves are totally real stuff. Absolutely. Pretty sure I saw one on a trail cam recently too. Somebody had a really freaky. That's one of the things where we might end up being like, oh, can you do a session on this guy? He's really strange. I think he might have an attachment. And then you do a scan on him and you're like, oh shit, that guy's alive. He's a werewolf. Good to know. Can't do clearing on him. They are absolutely real. Shapeshifters are totally real. Are you kidding? They're everywhere. You just don't know. Skinwalkers and my dog can incarnate as a cosmic wolf. That would be cool. Who knows? Maybe he is. And then they chose he's a cosmic wolf starseed. You never know. I have 3 cats and 4 newborn kittens in my house right now. Oh, that's wonderful. Lots of babies. Can you tell me about skinwalkers? I don't really know much about them, to be honest. They're shapeshifters, essentially. Kale can tell you all about skinwalkers, right, Kale? All I know about them is that they are the Native American and all the tribes. They know they exist. They are well aware they exist. They are able to shapeshift between wolves, coyotes, and they can be like as with everything. There can be nice ones and mean ones. It entirely depends on what that skinwalker's been through. Nice one, Kale. Kale wants to do an episode on them. Are Sasquatches ETs? Sasquatches were the original inhabitants of this planet. If you hadn't noticed, we are not very well adapted for this planet. And well, that's why this planet was originally not meant for humans. It was originally meant for other races. And there's quite a few Sasquatches. There's like 6 different types that I'm aware of, just so you know. And they are endemic to this planet. They are originally from here. They evolved on this planet. They've been here millions of years. They are nice and mean depending on which Sasquatch you run into. Entirely depends on, well, Like I said, the Tayghetans, if you ask the Tayghetans, they're basically cannibalistic. They eat meat and they will eat any. They're very opportunistic. According to the Taygetans, they actually do like those gorilla hides that they did in like Vietnam, where you're just walking along, all of a sudden, whoop, you're underground, and you don't even know what's grabbed you. So I actually would not go out looking for Sasquatches. I'm not saying they're all like that. I'm sure you can meet some nice ones. Um, One of my friends, Todd Standing, he made a documentary called Discovering Bigfoot, and he lured them out with apples and blueberry bagels. I was able to get probably the most high def footage ever of a Sasquatch, and I completely believe that they're real. But like I said, they're very shy. They do not like to be around humans at all. Um, Ronnie is super busy. I have messaged him, but he's doing events for the next like 2 months. Ronnie is super busy. Otherwise, I would totally like. I should message him actually. Thank you for the reminder. I would love to have Ronnie on the show. He was talking about all kinds of stuff. His talk wasn't just about Bigfoot. He was talking about cryptids for like 3 hours. It was great. There was all kinds of stuff. It's a great episode on karma on Gosha's channel. Because we are God, we can decide to participate in the karmic cycle or not. That is very true. Grandma D also said that. Karma is by choice. And sometimes the higher self will override the choices of the ego. So don't think that the ego can do that all the time. Sometimes it's the higher self that has to do that. There was one person, for example, we checked. They had 5 contracts from past lives that were still relevant in this lifetime that he brought over with him. And we were able to cancel 4 of the 5 contracts. But the 5th one, a contract to suffer, I don't know. That's what they said. It's a contract. He took a contract to suffer, and it cannot be negated. It will only be dissolved over time, is what we were told. So the ego may be able to make some choices, but when it comes to a higher level, a purpose, something that your higher self and you planned before coming here, if it plays an important role in your life, then no, it won't be canceled. There's a lot of karmic soul contracts out there that are for that reason. There was a lady, for example, and this is why I was kind of freaking out about my fibroids a little bit. There was I went into the DC group looking for past experiences, other people that have had the same thing. So I typed in fibroids to see if anybody went for a hypnosis session to have them cleared. And there was one lady that was voicing her she was really upset personally. She went for a session. She went for healing. She went because her fibroids were really, really, really bad. Like she was really suffering like I was. And then she went for a session and she found out that she was a slave driver. She went into a past life as a slave owner. She was a man in this past life and she was very abusive to the people under her care. Really abusive. Like I shouldn't say she, I should say he was really abusive to them. In fact, he was especially abusive to the women, if you catch my drift. I won't go too into detail there. But yeah, in that past life, he was extremely horrible to the women that were there on the farm. And so in this lifetime, when he became a she, and then the fibroids started being a big problem. So she went into this past life. And then when you get to the afterlife portion, when you can ask the higher self, can we do this clearing? The higher self said no. Higher self straight up said no. This is something that you chose as kind of a recompense for your behavior in your past life. And no, we cannot and will not heal it. So I can't imagine how awful that must be to hear, because you're a completely different person now. Especially somebody that, like, let's say that you have become the polar opposite to yourself in a previous life. You could be somebody who cares very much about people who, you can just kind of be like, oh, I'm going to be a completely different person now. And you still got to deal with the consequences from the previous life, unfortunately. So who knows? This is one of the things, this is something that I had to be reminded recently, because there was one person that I really, really wanted to help and I couldn't. There's a long story. It's an ex who's in a really bad way. And I wanted to help. And what my soul guides told me was they said, you don't know what he did in the past life. That's what I was told. I was like, oh. So sometimes the shit that we currently find ourselves in is part of our consequences from a past life. It's not easy. There was one guy who lost his leg in a motorcycle accident, and he went for a session and he wanted to find out whether or not it was something that was part of the plan or if it was just in a really unlucky place in time. And he found out, and this is what I mean, this is why it says it can be really uncomfortable sometimes, that he kicked a dog to death in a past life. And by kicking the dog to death, when he died later on and went back and saw what he did from a third party perspective and realized how terrible it was, that was what he chose. He actually chose to be 23 years old and losing his leg in an accident. And I mean, and then when you find out, I mean, can you imagine, finding out that the reason you lost your leg is because you kicked a dog to death in a past life? So unfortunately, a lot of us have this white knight complex where we just want to run in and save everybody from the horrible shit they're going through. But sometimes, we can't save people because they have to experience it. They have to go through this heavy shit. So this is what I mean by karma, is that sometimes the karma is totally on ourselves. We can choose to be like, you know what? I forgive this person. I don't want anything to do with this person anymore. I'm ripping up this soul contract. I forgive them. And someone who is a really good person in this lifetime and this is, I hate to say it, this is another case that came up. There was a man who passed away quite young in the prime of his life, and everything was really good. And they were asking, why did you have to take him? Why did this young man who was such a good person have to die so young? And the soul guides explained that, this is part of the choice that he made to die young because he took a life of someone else who died young. So dying young was the consequence that he had to choose because he caused the life of somebody else to die young. So that was the karmic payback, kind of. It's hard. Karma is so weird. It really is, because yes, there is a huge degree that we can choose our own karma. But whether or not our higher self is going to feel the same way is entirely different. That's why I say, like, the ego only goes so far. The higher self knows everything, and it really is the one that's calling all the shots. I shouldn't even say all the shots because we do get some, but it's so why do we do negative things then? Because that's what this planet is all about. Learning from experience, learning from mistakes, learning from each other. Keep in mind that you may have your free will and they have their free will, and all our free wills are competing. So, and it's also true that many people, they will set a plan for themselves. They'll be like, all right, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. I'm going to learn this lesson. I'm going to do this lesson. And then they get in here and they fuck it all up. Every bit of it. There are people who are so wildly off their path. Their path was here and they are like in the bleachers back there. They are so off their beaten path. And in many cases, this is why they say, this is actually reminds me of the guy that Grandma D, she did multiple sessions on this one guy where he came in and he was like, oh, the second time he was like, look, I stopped drinking, I quit smoking, I quit gambling, I quit cheating on my wife, and everything is still shit. My whole life sucks. I'm still sick. I can't heal. I don't know what's going on. So she put him under yet again. And the higher self, I should say, the soul guys explain. They're like, no, he's lying to you. He didn't quit any of those things. He's just perpetuating the same cycle over and over. So he's completely so far off his path that we're not even going to help him get back on it. He can just start over in the next life. Can you imagine hearing your soul guys being like, I just give up. You're so far off the path. You are not doing even 1% of what you came here to do. So you're just on your own. We'll see you when you're done. You imagine having that attitude, but they do sometimes because they get really frustrated. There's a lot of people who make a plan when they come in here and then they just say, fuck the plan. And they go off and do their own thing. and they don't listen to their intuition. And then they wonder why everything has gone to shit and they're experiencing a dark night of the soul. That's why. Because many of us, we don't know that we're going through a dark night of the soul because we have been completely ignoring our life plan. But as Captain says, you can run, but you can't hide. Exactly. If you are so far away from your plan that you set for this incarnation, it is very possible to end up finding yourself in a really shitty spot. So they can reroute you back onto that plan. That's why a lot of people have accidents and horrible shit that happens to them. It's a complete redirection to get back on the path. Can a session help you learn how to end intergenerational curses and generational trauma? Nice to see you, by the way, Erica. Mwah. Yes, it can. Absolutely. Many of us do end up using hypnosis for that reason, is because we've been holding on to a lot of baggage. And I don't just mean childhood baggage and stuff from being, from having a hard life in this incarnation, but multiple incarnations. We're finding weapons still in people's etheric field. That's the one thing that I really want to talk to Chen. That's one of the questions I've got for soul guides. Like, if we go to the healing place, why the hell are we still finding daggers? We found a broadsword in the back of a 12-year-old the other day. Why? A broadsword was still on his back energetically. Can you imagine? And that poor lady with the sciatica with an arrow in her butt. Like, why did that not get sorted out in the healing place? Like, I'm genuinely curious as to what the hell is going on. Did we choose to keep that back there? Maybe we did. Maybe we're just like, you know what? I'm going to take this with me to the next life. Because sometimes we get, I don't even know. Humans are so funny. We really are. We're so weird with what we drag around with us. It's entirely possible that it was a choice to take it with us. Who knows? One of the reasons why I want to ask. Maybe it forces us to resolve the trauma from past lives. That's also true. Maybe it's quite literally the baggage in manifestation form, where it's in, I don't want to say physical form, but in astral form. Because we manifest things all the time through thoughts and our beliefs. And it's entirely possible that we are actually quite literally manifesting something into the astral form. I read somewhere that some are trying to reincarnate as fast as possible so they can clear karma, that they skip the healing. Yeah, that happened to Svadu. Svadu was talking about how she went 10 incarnations once without going to the healing place. 10 incarnations without once stepping into the healing place. This is what I mean when I say Grandma D left some shit out. Because I realize that, the universe is very complicated and there's a lot that goes on, that, there's a lot of fine print out there. But that is something that I think we should have known. That should have been in the book. Why Svadu went 10 incarnations without a single healing session from the healing place. But what I think is that, and this is what I'm pretty sure happened with her, the reason for that is I'm pretty sure she came back to the same life. A lot of people don't understand that. That it's very easy to end up reliving the same life over and over again. Rather than planning your next incarnation, you're like, shit, I'm going to go back and fix something. And then you come back as yourself yet again. The same person. So it's entirely possible that that's one of the reasons why there are infinite realities out there, where there are infinite versions of ourselves doing all kinds of things. So rather than, and this is apparently, yeah, exactly, Groundhog Day. Exactly. And Svadu did it 10 times. And it was I can't remember which lifetime it was. In fact, I'm pretty sure she was playing coy on that. She didn't want to tell us, I'm pretty sure. But I don't, I'm pretty sure that most of the Greek gods back in the day were Tegetans. And they don't exactly have a good rap. Because they asked somebody, I think it was Gosha, that asked if Zeus was a real person. And they're like, yeah. Yeah, he was. He was a Tegetan. And they were like, Zeus, really? They're like, yeah, his real name was Anu. And we're like, you gonna tell us the rest? Like, what Zeus? the original man slut. Like, so who knows? Who knows what the Tagetans were doing here back in the day and why they would want to relive that incarnation 10 times in a row. Rochelle spoke of Medusa in one of the transcripts. Ooh, I'll have to check that out. No way. If you look about Medusa, Medusa is one of the most commonly portrayed statues in ancient history, too. I believe that Medusa was real, 100%. Where do you learn so much about the Tagetans? From Gosha, the lady that I've been talking about. In fact, I'll even share her channel here for you. Gosha has a channel. It's called Cosmic Agency. She's been in direct contact with the Pleiadians for 6 years now, over 6 years. I would start with the older videos first, and work your way back. It will make a lot more sense that way. But these are the guys that pulled me out of body and told me that I'm one of them 10 years ago. In fact, they even showed me what era looks like. I got to see what era the home planet of the Tagetans looks like. It looks exactly like Earth before the flood. Very, very green. There's some big watery lakes, but there's no rivers. There's no oceans. Very few cities. It's just a huge green ball. Really. You do see some water, but not anywhere near as much what you see here on Earth. Yeah, there's no salt water. Yep, and they've mountains and rivers and lakes and all that stuff, but they don't have the giant cosmic ocean that we do. Because they haven't had the same shit go down in an era that we have. Earth has been through some stuff, you guys. If you ever seen, I saw an image once of what the Earth looks like without water on it, and it looks like it just got blasted to shit. Like, Earth has been it's been torn to shit. Really, if you look at it without all of Tiamat's water on it, exactly. All of that Tiamat water. Can you imagine? Oh my god, of what the Earth would look like? It would be like Middle Earth in Lord of the Rings. That's what they describe it like. That's the closest analogy they can give us as to what Earth was like pre-flood. You could walk around the whole planet. Exactly. Poor Mama Gaia is exactly what I feel. Like, she really, Earth has been rode hard and hung up wet. Exactly. Oh, bless. But like I said, this planet has been our home for a very long time. Some of us may have been new here. This might be one of your first incarnations here, right, Danielle? But still, even if it is, this planet is still your home. Many of us, once we learn about the other planets, we're like, shit, I want to go back to home. Like, Earth may not be. This is one of the things, like, people that get used to being here and then they leave, they end up missing it. Yes, imprints are also a thing. Definitely. For those of you who don't know what an imprint is, it's basically a downloaded memory from somebody else. And you're basically borrowing. So it's like the movie Total Recall with Arnold. If you remember Total Recall, where he goes to download a holiday and then he ends up with like this thing all about Mars and all of these memories popping up. Yep. Just like that. You get all of these downloads. We would miss Xbox. You're funny. You know what also made me laugh is that the Tagetans are up there right now playing Xbox and PlayStation and stuff. I can't really blame them, though. When I heard that video of them talking about playing video games, I just had to laugh. I'm like, of course they are. They're probably so freaking bored up there. Even with their ability to hop in an immersion pod, I bet you it's still boring as shit being stuck on a planet for 6 years. Or being stuck on a ship for 6 years. My life is so much like Total Recall. I think about the movie all the time. Same, Steph. There's a lot of truth in that movie, especially when it comes to Mars. Oh my God, Mars has been occupied just as long as Earth. There's all kinds of stuff going on Mars. That's why they have the Stargate program that goes there and a whole bunch of stuff. I'm always checking. You know what's funny? Marie Svadu. For those of you, in fact, I'm going to share that one as well. Because like I said, there is the Cosmic Agency channel, but then we also have Marie's channel. Svadu Official. Where is it? There she is. So this channel, there's 343 videos, and they're all made by the Takettons. The Takettons make these videos, which I was kind of surprised about, but then I realized, I'm like, of course they are. They're probably bored up there. Of course they're going to make videos. In fact, Marie likes to play Minecraft, which is kind of cool. And she actually designed the whole ship with Minecraft. So there is a whole Minecraft Teleka ship that, oh man, it's just so cool. It really is. I love the Takettons. But they have videos. If you go to that Svadu official channel where Marie's videos, Marie is a 15-year-old Pleiadian. It's a long story about how Marie got here, but Marie is actually not from this dimension. She hopped in a ship and there was a what do you call it? A bunch of time jumping. She's from the wrong timeline. And unfortunately now she can't get back to her original timeline, because when I say there's billions of timelines out there, I'm not kidding. So she was doing all sorts of time jumps, and she jumped into this ship that it's a long story, but she was chasing a bounty. She's such a badass. I think she was 12 when she did it, or maybe she was 11. There was a fugitive that came around the ship, and she hopped in a pod to chase after the fugitive. And the fugitive was hopping from timeline to timeline trying to lose her. And she didn't save the original timeline that she jumped from. So she kept jumping and jumping and jumping, chasing after this fugitive that they were trying to catch, because there are a lot of space pirates out there. You'd be surprised. Space pirates are a real thing. I'm sure many of you have seen some movies with space pirates. Those are totally a real thing. So she was chasing a space pirate, basically trying to show off at how badass she was. And then she ended up getting lost. And she can't get back to her original timeline. And funnily enough, the timeline that she got spat out into chasing the fugitive was this timeline. So Marie is not supposed to be in this timeline. So technically, all of those Marie Svadu videos are not supposed to exist. So who knows what that's going to do to our timeline. But funnily enough, it was Marie's videos that led me to the SRT stuff. It was Marie that's the one that's hunting these. It's not just Marie and Yazhi and Sophia. They all chase astral creatures as well. Chantel says, I'm glad I'm not in an Uber tonight. You might have driven me to the psych ward. Apparently, this is why these podcasts are so important, so that way we can talk about weird alien shit. Because who else is going to do this, you know? Who else is going to have the balls to talk about aliens? But Yazhi is my favorite. She's such a badass. She's quite literally hunting demons in the astral. That's like one of her pastimes. It's what she loves to do. Is she will go out and hunt astral creatures and use her light weapons to slay demons and shit. Yazhi's such a badass. Love her. And she's only like 12 years old. She's like, oh, and there was another thing. I was watching in a video last night. I can't remember. Was it the one from 6 days ago that she posted, where they were like asking her about the Federation and asking her why she doesn't support the Federation? And she's like, well, just so you know, like, I'm a rascal. Like, she straight literally called herself a rascal and was like, yeah, I'm. She goes, I'm not going to conform to any of that. Candy says, that's why we wake up sweaty at night, Laura. We are hunting. To be honest, I would not be surprised one bit if that's what I was doing in the astral. Would not be surprised, even the slightest. You never know. Tony says, I just want to see the look on Eisenhower's face when he saw a woman coming out of the ship. They're so rude. Quite frankly, I think Nixon was even more rude than Eisenhower was, calling them space hippies. I love talking about the ETs. I really do. But to be honest, it is becoming a bit of a soap opera up there. They're just, It is. It's a soap opera down here and up there, and it's no different up there than here. And one of the reasons why it kind of pisses me off, like the Andromedans, for example, the Andromedans will not. They don't really have a lot of starseeds down here. In fact, they're kind of trying to take this hands-off approach where they're like, yeah, we don't go down there, we don't talk to them except for like one or two contactees, like Alex Collier, and they're very much like, keep your distance, is kind of their attitude. And yet they have a say into what happens here on this planet. And I thought that was really interesting that there's ETs up there who basically don't really give a shit which way it's going to go, because they're just kind of like, yeah, we're observing, watching us kill each other. But at the same time, they get to have a say in how the Federation, conducts its affairs here. And these are one of the races that do not have emotions, that they are one of the logical races. That's what they call themselves anyway, but they don't have any emotions. They don't have the broad spectrum of emotions that we do. So they don't look at exactly. This is one of the things that I would like to talk to Gosha about, is the fact that the Federation allows emotionless races to control an emotional race. It's like Vulcans. Exactly. Vulcans. Yes. They may be highly intelligent. They may be super advanced. I don't think that they're good babysitters, personally. I really don't. And I also think that it's kind of bullshit. The whole Prime Directive is bullshit, in my opinion. The whole thing, the whole shebang. For them to be like, oh, you're not allowed to go down there. The Tagetans are actually forbidden from landing their ships here. They're not allowed to come down here and have a face-to-face conversation with us. And the reason for that is that whole Prime Directive thing. And yet here we are removing reptilians and other creatures from people's etheric fields. They have all of those ETs that come here to experiment on us, that have been abducting us and using us for food up until 500 years ago. And who knows if they're still doing it. That's when they say they stopped the whole, what do you call it? When they were taking mass groups off world. That they say that they've stopped that, but I don't know if they really have, personally. Steph says, I think reptilians killed me when I was in drama. Yeah, I'm not. The thing is, we've had so much drama and karma on this planet that it's hard to say why we are the way we are. And, because we've had so much influence from these demons, from these very powerful ETs that have been coming here. And even though we can't see them, they still influence us. So, there's this one guy, who's been messed with by the mantises. Like, literally to the breaking point. Like, his brain feels like it's about to explode because these mantises have been so messing with him. And not even intentionally. They're just observing him. But just by being in his area, they're messing with him on a very deep level mentally. How is that okay? Like, that's my point. Is like, if they were keeping all the ETs away from us, then the Prime Directive would make sense. But they're not keeping all the ETs away from us at all. In fact, we're being messed with on a very deep level when it comes to ETs. So how can they be like, you're not allowed to go down there when we're already surrounded? That's the part that annoys the shit out of me the most. And honestly, I don't even know if I want to talk about it with Gosha, because I'm just going to rant. Because I know she probably won't I don't think she'll be able to give me a better answer either, because she shares the same frustrations I do. Like, what the hell? The rules do not make sense. So that's the problem. Just make it make sense and I'll be happy. That's all I want. From the age of 8, I've always felt like beings are watching me, like the Truman Show. Yep. Well, that's the thing. You've never been alone, not even for an instant, your entire life. So it is kind of like the Truman Show. There's so many comments right now. I'm trying to read. I'm not a speed reader. I'm trying. Can we ask her the views on the Prime Directive and keep it vague? That was one of my plans. But I have a feeling she's going to have the same exact opinion. She likes it. I was talking to her a little bit about the Orma last night. I told her, she's like, as I mentioned entities, I told her, a little bit about how much the videos have been influencing our whole group, like, think about it. Just one Marie video led to me finding the SRT stuff. How many of us have had SRT clearings now because of one video by Maurice Fadu talking about entities? In fact, I'm actually going to share this with you guys. If you go to Maurice Fadu's videos, you go to playlists. She has a whole playlist on paranormal. In fact, where is it? Here it is. I'm going to share it. Ooh, hold on. Closing it. Here we go. This whole playlist is all her paranormal videos. Fantastic stuff, really. I mean, she's got, let's see, view full playlist. Come on, how do I close it? I can't see. Yeah, she's got videos about entity attachments and infestations, demons and archons, how to get rid of astral parasites, lower astral ideas and programming, part 6, metaphysical and astral attacks, astral projection, astral abductions, night soul missions. Oh, I remember that one. That was a good one. Night soul missions. That was a huge validation for me when I was told at Disclosure Fest that I've been going on night missions. She's got tons of videos about the astral. She's got all sorts of videos about demons, apparitions, hauntings, light beings, possessions, star seeds, you name it, reincarnation in lower astral entities and why it works against them, all kinds of stuff, walk-ins, body snatching, all kinds of stuff. Like I say, these videos are crazy. I recommend you guys check them out because, like I said, if it wasn't for those videos, we wouldn't even have found Terry Palmer and Andy and Jono and all those guys. So it is. So it says, I don't think it's a coincidence that Lara gets contacted the same day. There are no coincidences. There really aren't. Like, holy shit. What beings wear an almost armor-like clothing? Militant in style, and he had a mask on that had snakes coming out of it and had hair-like locks, and he was sitting on a throne like a seat. Honestly, that fits so many. When we're dealing with literally hundreds, if not thousands, of different ET races, it's so hard to be able to figure out which one is which. They manipulate us into doing evil towards ourselves, and the way they skirt natural law by making us take the blunt of the karma. Oh yeah. See, you and I are on the same page there, hon. I am just as frustrated as you are about that, and which is one of the things that I'm constantly ranting about. So I really do feel like all our soul guides are kind of planning this and setting this up. What does a mothership look like? Well, if you go on Maurice Fadu's page, you'll see she's got the whole ship built on Minecraft. She's amazing. Maurice is so amazing. She built the whole ship on Minecraft and much more. So you can actually kind of take a walk through her ship. It's really cool. I have no doubt whatsoever that they are who they say they are, by the way. Whether or not everything that they're saying is true is an entirely different story. But whether or not they are truly ETs that have been making videos and in contact with us, I have zero doubt whatsoever. Zero doubt. I know for a fact they are. I absolutely know they are. Because like I said, I told you guys this before, but on the 11th anniversary of my out-of-body experience, where they pulled me out of body so I could have a conversation with them, it's no coincidence that I literally found the video that she posted, I think, like 3 years prior, that was talking about the campaign. They called it First Contact, where they were pulling people out of body in order to have conversations with them face to face. They literally put out a video explaining why they were pulling people out of body. And the fact that I found it on the 11th anniversary of me being pulled out of body, and they even said the dates. They said they were pulling people out of body between 2008 and 2013. I was pulled out of body in 2012. So, and they said that for every 1,000 people they pulled out of body, they said only 15 out of every 1,000 actually Googled it and was trying to fact check it the next day. So I've always laughed. Like, I may be really stubborn, but at least I listened. And the funny thing is that if it wasn't for, it's 11:11 now. What a coinkydink. So you know, when it comes to this whole like soul guide mission where they're pulling people out of body and talking to them face to face, they were asked why they were doing it. And they were trying to contact their own star seeds. They said that they were trying to reach people to contact their star seeds so that way they could help this snowball effect. So I kind of feel really excited that that's actually, because it sure as hell snowballed for me, didn't it? Jesus. Did you want to tell us about any of your SRT sessions? I've only had one day. This is the problem, is when you only have 4 mediums and and like 8 other people who are looking to do sessions. I have not been able to do many clearings, unfortunately. But there will be more people in training soon. There will be more mediums available, and we'll be able to do more sessions. But unfortunately, I've only been able to sit down and do them one day since I've been back. So, but we still banged out like 6 sessions in those 3 hours, I think. Oh yes, tomorrow. That's right. I'm gonna be working. Is it tomorrow? Where's my phone? I have to check my schedule. I can't remember. Was it Katie I said I would work with tomorrow? I can't remember. Shit, I didn't put it in my calendar. Well, I'll find out. But we need more mediums to train for this. Oh, that's right, Claire. That's right. In fact, thank you. Thank you for that, Candy. I forgot Claire did offer to do some Sunday night clearings with us. So yeah, tomorrow I might be able to sneak in some. And I know I've got quite a few people who are looking for clearings. That some of you I know are in dire strait. Clearings with Claire, they're added, so I don't forget. So I will be doing more sessions as soon as I can. Can you explain thousands of years ago, but time doesn't exist? Well, you have linear time, which is, you know, day-to-day basis, which is still part of the illusion. And then you have the quantum time, which is infinite, which is everything that's ever happened or ever will happen is happening now. So how do I even explain this? Past lives are not technically past lives. They are congruent lives. They're parallel lives. Every life that you have ever lived or ever will live is actually happening right now too, which is why if we use hypnosis, we can tap into that life and we can have a conversation with you. Even if you are existing right now 2,000 years ago in Egypt, we can tap into that past life and have a conversation with them through hypnosis. So if they were actually dead right now because it was 2,000 years ago, we wouldn't be able to talk to them, right? Well, that's why we can still talk to them, is that every person that's ever lived or ever will live, so even your future incarnations, are happening right now. So the biggest revelation in all of this is, why did you choose to be you right now? If you could have been anybody in the past, the present, the future, in multiple universes, why did you choose to be you right now? Because you did. You could have been anybody right now. You could have been a 6th century peasant today, but you weren't. You chose to be this person, and you chose to be this person for a reason. So when it comes to all of your lives, you know, the energy that exists will never dissipate. This podcast, I'll be sitting here for all eternity delivering this podcast, having this conversation. Because even my future self 5,000 years from now could be like, you know, I kind of feel like tapping in. And they could tap into this phone call right now and experience being me having this podcast right now. So technically, if you've ever seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, another great movie, in fact, one of my favorite movies, Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's about a movie. It's a movie about a woman who can channel her alt selves. Like in another universe, she's a master martial artist. In another movie, she, you know, she's I don't know, a sign spinner, you know, like some jobs seem to be so silly, and that she can channel all of these different versions of herself. And so you can kind of do that too. A lot of times when people are naturally gifted, where they are, let's say a child, you give a child a piano and they can start playing like automatically without ever having to be given musical notes. That's somebody who was using the piano in a past life. They're quite literally channeling their knowledge and experience from another version of themselves in a parallel reality. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Oh, the hot dog fingers. It's the worst part of the whole movie, Aaron. The hot dog fingers. Oh, it made me so uncomfortable. Even the dildo scene is nothing compared to the sausage fingers. No, I was I was so uncomfortable during that scene. But I still adore that movie. I don't even care. It's still my favorite movie anyway. That and Fight Club. I love Fight Club. I really do. It's another fantastic movie that I need to watch again sometime so I can get a new perspective on it right after this SRT stuff, huh? Because, jeez. If you think about Fight Club being an SRT, imagine imagine how much that movie changes. When you think about Brad Pitt actually being an attachment. Mm-hmm. You guys are so funny. What is it about again? Fight Club? If you think about it though, you just have to watch it. I could sit here for 2 hours talking about Fight Club. You just have to watch it. And if you think about Brad Pitt being an attachment, that whole movie, it will change the way that you see that movie. Mind-blowing stuff. I had an amazing dream that was in color the night before last, and I saw all these shooting stars and cosmic occurrences, and then the sky turned red behind, sorry, these comments popping up, behind dark trees, and it was like time was speeding up, and people were laying on this, it's moving too fast. We're laying on this compass on the ground saying they need to get out of here. And then I saw two suns in the night sky and they were merging. And I said the timelines are merging, and others around me were afraid and just walked up to it and floated into the light and I could be free. Holy shit, Ashley. And I could oh, wait, it was cut off. Now I'm clicking it. Sorry. I'm going to have to reread that comment. Wow, Ashley. What an experience. That is very intense. Laura, the first rule about Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. Well, if you hadn't noticed, I don't follow rules very well. Did you happen to watch Outlander? Are you kidding? I loved Outlander. I even read the books. I love Outlander. Love it, love it. Do you know anything about the change in the color of the sun? It used to be yellow, but now it's white. Well, it's heating up. It's getting more intense. A lot of people don't know this, but our sun is not what people think it is. The sun is the exit of a black hole, and I'm well aware of what I sound like when I say that. But that's why we see ships coming out of it. It's actually a portal. The sun is a portal. And the other side of the portal is a black hole, which is why the sun, all of that energy being pulled in is creating such a massive, giant burst of energy. And that's why you see ships coming out of it, because the ships will use it to jump. The other end of our sun is in the Andromeda galaxy. So it's not that big of a jump. All of our suns are linked like a mycelial network. So anytime that we were talking about the sun, they said the sun behind the sun, behind the sun. If you remember when we were talking, who was it? Who channeled that? I can't remember. Remember who it was. I'm talking to too many people that channel lately. But they were talking about the sun behind the sun behind the sun. And that's why that's what they mean, is that when you have multiple suns and they're all connected, whenever one sun has a big reaction, it causes a chain reaction through all the other suns. So that's one of the reasons why our sun is acting the way it is. It's because of, the energy being put through it. Anytime that there are massive things getting sucked into our sun, it's going to have a massive reaction from the exit. You know what I mean? What goes in must come out. So, yeah, this is why the central sun, which is the largest sun in our universe, is the one that's sending out that solar flash that everybody is talking about. And the solar flash will be basically, like I said, activating each sun. And this is from the Tegetans. Yep. And not just the Tegetans, but this is also coming from our hypnosis sessions. They've also validated that. This is one of the reasons why I trusted the Tegetans in the first place, is because, it all matched up to Grandma D's work. Everything that they said. In fact, this is one of the reasons why they talk about Grandma D so much in the videos. If you listen to a lot of those Tegetten videos, Grandma D is mentioned like 20 times. In fact, if you go to sfaru.com, one of the coolest things about this, right, about their website, is if there's, let's say, something that you wanted to learn about, let's say, I don't know, Rh negative blood types. You type in Rh negative, and then you can search it on the website every time they've talked about it in one of their videos. So I typed in Dolores as a search, and then I came up with like 80 different videos. They've talked about her constantly. And yeah, they were talking about, like, they don't, this is one of the things too that they don't want to validate her work 100% because they are well aware that people under hypnosis can be compromised. And they've actually said that before, is that they can't, 100% get behind it because they don't know who's being hypnotized, and and what the background on that is. But everything else, like, there's a lot of stuff that they've talked about that matches her work perfectly, which is why they cite her. In fact, there was a video about pet deaths, talking about what happens to pets when they die. And Dolores was explaining that she doesn't believe in pet euthanasia in one of her videos. And Gosha was asking them, like, is she speaking the truth? Like, is this actually real? And they were like, yeah, she's right. And Gosha wasn't too happy about it either, because she was like, well, I don't, she's like, I don't believe in making things suffer longer just because it could be part of their reason for being here. But Grandma D's logic was basically explaining that, it's, if they came here as part of the plan to suffer and then you eased their suffering, then they may have to come back and suffer again in order to have that experience. So that's why she didn't support euthanasia. So this is what I mean. Like, they will agree with certain things, but they'll actually explain in the videos, like, okay, this is the truth, but we also look at it from this perspective too, because of this reason. So that's one of the things that I love the most about them, is that they didn't agree with everything, but they looked at it from a different perspective too, because they were like, okay, there is truth and there's also mistruth, and there's also, you know what I mean? Like, I like the way that they dissected these things. But that's the thing, this is all part of the, philosophical debate that is life on Earth. Because we could discuss this till the cows come home, but really it's the soul that makes the decision. What are your thoughts on Sarah's work? Is the information in her books trustworthy? You're trying to get me in trouble. I I don't know what to say about that, because I don't want to. I'm just gonna plead the fifth. I'm not going to say anything more on that, because Sarah is a friend of mine, and even though I do know I do know things, I can't say those things. Sorry. I I would never lie to you guys, so I'm just going to plead the fifth. That's okay. Yeah, it's safer that way. I don't need another person mad at me. So anyway, how about them Yankees? Oh, look at that. I've already been on here over an hour. Any other questions before I run away? There's a lot of politics on this planet, guys, and I try to stay out of as much politics as possible. I really do. Try and stay away from the drama. So we could talk about that on Divinate sometime, maybe. Somewhere not so public. Gotta love it. So anyway, I am gonna retreat now. I love you guys. And yes, Andy and Chen are coming back on the podcast soon, but it's going to entirely depend on when Jane is feeling better, because remember, Jane is in the hospital, guys. So Jane has severe version of COVID, and she's been struggling with it. So everybody send Jane some love and healing. We're very grateful to Andy that for everything that he's been doing. So I just want to express how much we're so grateful to both of them. What's your schedule during Christmas break? I am still going to be on every day because I love you guys. They asked me to be, present for the collective. I would be present for the collective. I am not much of a fan of Christmas. I'm not going to deny it. So it makes it easier for me to come on podcast, actually. My dad died on Christmas Eve. Or sorry, he was put in hospice on Christmas Eve, and he died on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. So Christmas is meh for me. But I'm still making the most of it for my little guy, and I will still be here with my bells on for you guys. I love you all. I am looking forward to seeing Tara. I'm going to go over and have some hangout time with Tara today. Very excited. Lara's clearing Santa. You guys are so funny. We can talk about COVID another time on Divinate, so that way I don't get in trouble. Mwah. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy your Sunday, and I will see you on Monday. And who's my guest Monday? Let's see. I think it's Tammy Lepresti. It is. Yep, we get to do numbers with Tammy Lepresti again on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a podcast with Claire. Super excited for that. And then on Wednesday, it'll be a podcast with Daniela and one of her friends. And then Elaine Thorpe will be here on Friday. We get to hear from Elaine and Jonathan again. Super excited about that. So I love you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday, and I will see you on Monday. Mwah! See you soon.